Hello everybody, my name is Pravus and welcome back to Going Medieval. I did take a bit of a break for the last few days, so I apologize for the lack of content, but I needed a summer vacation. And now I am back and refreshed and ready to go, well, medieval. In the last couple of videos, we've greatly expanded our industrial capacity, built up some large structures, and changed up our farming. We've survived a full winter. All things are turning up Darby Hill Montashire. So now, what else do we do? Great question. I think we go back to research and we just continue working down this tree. We do now have access to research level 2, which means we have a whole new round of technology that we do need to work through, but of course that is going to take not only some of the original books, but also some level 1 books as well. I don't remember what these are called. What's the difference? Textbooks versus, these are chronicles. Right, textbooks and chronicles. We need both. So I'm going to have a lot of extra research going for me. What we may want to do at some point here is actually get a second researcher really assigned. And we have a couple of good options here, but right now, Sulbasur and Zhivago do seem to be my best choices. So I think these are the two that I want to be making into full-time researchers, basically, so that I can progress that tree very, very rapidly. Other than that, you know, just continue expanding, continue building out the defenses, make sure we didn't miss any other holes. And, yeah, just truck along. Be happy. Be wealthy. Be fed. I don't know. Be merry. Something. I don't know. Whatever. You get the point. Oh, Drew apparently is a master chef. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Well done, Drew. So what? We should be able to cook incredibly well, I guess. We actually haven't had a lot of things that we can cook that's changed up the game, right? I mean, yeah, we got plenty of meat that's all being preserved, but there's got to be more fun ways to do that. I really want to try getting some of the salt and see if we can start preserving stuff at some point, but that might be a research I still need to work on. Let's see. Fermenting? No. Preserving food level 2. There we go. That unlocks the packaged meals. What do you require for those? I don't know. Where's the salt even come in, if I'm being honest? I don't actually know where salt is needed. It hasn't really come up at this point, but it's got to be there sooner or later. The salt must flow. And a new settler wants to join. Okay, Florence, huh? Well, you know, let's just see if Florence is any good at anything. Animal handling and culinary and stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't seem that good. Not to mention this person is a bit of a religious fanatic. We can probably accommodate that, but, I don't know. And those perks are terrible, so yeah, I think we just slam the door shut. Yeah, that makes people upset. You know, they don't like leaving some people to get devoured by cannibalistic barbarians, but you know, I got my own people to worry about, and taking care of a fanatic who doesn't have any particular marketable skills, that's just not gonna fly. Oh, I just realized my library over here is outside. Hey, wait a minute. Okay, we're apparently out of hay? Out of hay? Where's some tall freaking grass? Actually, I haven't seen any tall grass in a while now, it occurs to me. Uh-oh. There's also a load of wolves. Fun stuff. There's some tall grass. Let's make sure we harvest some of that. This is one of the downsides I find of playing with the Z-axis or whatever it is, a little bit down low over here, the elevation. It's easy to lose track of such things. You know? Oh, Sulbasur turned 28. Well, congratulations for you. Yeah, it's easy to lose track of such things as roofs, which obviously is greatly reducing some of my production speed for Chronicles, because it's considered to be outside at the moment. So yeah, we need to get ourselves some hay, and frankly, since I'm not seeing a lot of good sources on the map, that might be an excuse for us to place down another farming zone, specifically in this case for some tall grass. There it is. Let's go ahead and start growing some tall grass. Oh wow, double birthday. Zhivago and Paul Bashal both have birthdays in the same. That's fantastic. What are the odds? We could research the armor level 2, and I'm kind of thinking that might be worth it. Does take up quite a few of my research points. That's no problem, though. Getting some better helmets and stuff and keeping people alive. I'm going to go ahead and just say that's got to be a high priority. Let's see. The blacksmith's forge is not where I need to go. It's the armorer's table. There you are. So this leather armor no longer is really going to cut it. Mail armor requires mostly metal, as opposed to just some simple cheap leathers. Maybe leathers are really good if you're like an archer or something, and we want to have mail armor for my melee characters. I don't know. But at least for the time being, a couple of sets of proper armor would be great. We also can make mail helmets now, which again, takes some metal. But we have at least some metal sitting around, don't we? I'm pretty sure we do. Let's see. I should have about 100 iron ingots. That's not too bad. Maybe we go ahead and also research the preserving food, simply because I was already talking about it. I assume that's something we can do from here. What does this take? Some clothing fabric, as well as fuel and some cooking materials. Now, the fuel, of course, to cook stuff. Cooking materials can be literally anything. Clothing fabric surprises me, but I guess we wrap it up. How does that really contrast with the regular meal? It basically is the exact same thing, but it takes one extra little bit of fabric. I am curious about that. What do you mean by fabric exactly? Leather, linen cloth, or wool cloth? Okay, so literally any of the stuff you use to make clothes, just one little piece of it, when it takes like 40 or 50 to make a single garment. That's honestly not that much, but I can see this quickly turning into a bit of a pain. I think we're going to have this until we have, let's say, like 20 meals. But then I'm curious, if we go over here, can I say, edit food? I want to say we're not allowed to eat any of the packaged meals. Maybe we can allow it. I want to prefer that we eat the other meals that, you know, are more likely to perish and leave the best stuff just for a rainy day. That's what I want to do. Looks like we are now reaching harvesting season, kind of heading toward the end of spring here. Absolutely nothing has happened so far. I don't know if they turned down the aggression or not. I haven't seen any evidence that's the case. There have been a couple of patches since the last time that I played the game, but no, so far it just seems like it's all quiet on the home front. Now, if we take a look at region, we can see that I've expanded my influence out to 56.1% of the region. I don't know if you get to like 100... Oh, now 0.3. I don't know if you get to like 100%. Can you consider yourself to have won the game? Like, that's as much technology as one could possibly need? I don't know. Maybe that's the case, and then maybe it's not. What else should we research? Well, some upgrades to things like swords or crossbows wouldn't be a bad idea. What if we went for a crossbow? I imagine this might be a bit better than the bows I'm currently using, mostly good for piercing enemy armor. If the raids continue to get more and more difficult, well then obviously that could become very advantageous. So sure, I'd like to make at least one crossbow, and maybe we can have some extra armaments. Should we try swapping over to lavish meals, do you think, by the way? I mean, it's the same cost, effectively, as a meal, but it also takes some herbs. Yeah, a little basil on the side, and all of a sudden it's lavish. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I feel like we got plenty of herbs that I'm not really making good use of anyway. So let's just go ahead and say until I have, like, let's say 26 or so lavish meals, this becomes something that my cook is going to do. And of course, as we are finishing up some other harvests of the barley and the red currant, we'll be able to start making use of the brewing station once again. Oh man, there's so much for my cook to do. That's why I actually have tried to rearrange some of my jobs. I'm trying to make sure everyone has at least one specialization. They're able to do a bunch of other jobs, but you know, there we go. So Solbasur, for example, I'm going to go ahead and pull off of research, even though Solbasur is quite good at the job, and instead it's set to growing and cutting plants. There's a lot of farming to do. In the meantime, Zhivago didn't have any particular specialty, except for construction. And unless I'm doing a construction project, well, there's nothing for Zhivago really to do except for odds and ends. Same thing with Paul Bashal, honestly, and Paul is pretty smart, so I figure, all right, fine, we'll make them the researcher instead. So ideally, I want to have at least one, if not two, people who are really good at each individual job, but have one or two particular specialities, right? So that means I probably need to get at least one more person. What skills exactly I need? I don't know. I mean, a backup cook would certainly not be bad. Or a really good crafter would certainly be good. A really good harvester could be really good. I don't know. There's a lot of things we would benefit from. I'm also having a hard time staying on top of things like production of coal and iron and stuff. We seem to be constantly... Actually, you know what? For once, we have someone able to do the bricks. Oh, fun. Okay, I was actually going to complain that we've been down to 0 bricks and no one's been doing this job and I'm having to manually do some production, but I did change so that Iceman, who, again, didn't have any major specialization, puts crafting at a slightly higher priority, and all of a sudden, look at that, we've got plenty of coal and we got plenty of clay bricks. That's fantastic. So what we probably should do is start tearing down some of these buildings and replacing them with more insulative materials so that we're better prepared for the summer and the winter. Oh, I just realized I actually can't make a crossbow. We don't have any workers with a carpentry skill of 20. That's a pretty lofty skill. I mean, yeah, I imagine that making a crossbow is no joke. You're gonna need some experience behind you on that one, but yeah. Okay, well, I suppose one thing we could do is just deliberately make a whole bunch of longbows and shortbows to try and train somebody up. Seems a little expensive, not just in terms of resources, but also in terms of time. I don't know if I need a crossbow that badly. I mean, maybe the next time we get a raid, we find out that they're all armored to the teeth, but For now, we'll leave this alone. And if I find myself with some extra time on my hands, fine, we'll do some training jobs. Oh, crud, I seem to have made a mistake. Telsior, run! This buck is wild! It's trying to kill you! There we go. Okay, now we're safe. Woo! Okay, gotta watch out for that once in a while. I kind of just manually told Telsior to go kill a deer, and it's like, yeah, let's just kill Telsior. We're fine now, but that was scary because I wasn't really getting a warning about that. If I hadn't happened to be watching it, Telsior might have died just now. Man, what a way to go. Murdered by a deer. And a heat wave. Okay, now we're starting to get some of the familiar nastiness. Can we, like, turn off braziers? Yes. Because I feel like during summer and during maybe a heat wave or something, this is going to be what we call a little unnecessary. It's roasting. It's like it's 103 degrees Fahrenheit out there and you got the heat on in your house because your wife is a psycho who's cold all the time. That's kind of what it would be like. So no. Hey, look at this. You can go above 30 in terms of skill. For some reason, I kind of assumed that 30 was the max, but Solbasur has proven me wrong. Well, frickin' done. We're going to need some more straw hats, I think. A couple of straw hats would be very good for me, my people. Make sure that they are nice and protected from the heat waves. And let's actually go to management and make sure that we are setting that for everybody. I want to have... I guess they're going to be caps, but sure, let's set caps for everybody. Solbasur is suffering from excess heat. Well, have you considered doing what I told you to do and equip a fine straw hat? Look, I know they look kind of silly, but the advantage of a hat like this, if we take a look at the info, is it does increase the minimum and maximum comfortable temperature. That is to say, as the temperature goes up, you're more suited to that range. So it's worth putting that on. If you're going to be working in the hot sun, Solbasur, incredible harvester that you are, you should be protecting yourself. God, you're going to get sunburned. Look like a lobster by the end of this, and your skin is going to peel? Oh boy, is it going to peel. And the heat wave's already over. Well, okay, that wasn't too bad. It looks like some food is starting to rot in the stockpiles, though. That's making me think that maybe at the very least our cellar will be a really good candidate for increasing the insulation with some better materials, like the clay bricks. So, let's go ahead and start by deconstructing all of these roofs over here. Just knock all this stuff down, and we're going to rework this building. It's a perfect candidate to see if this actually makes much of a difference. To give an idea, right now outside it is 28.5 degrees Celsius. Indoors, it's 15.7. So a pretty noticeable temperature drop of about 10 degrees. That's the difference, at least right now. It's probably more pronounced in the extremes like the heat waves. That said, as we take this down, you can see the temperature's already risen back up to about 30. I am curious, after we rip this all down and turn it into a brick structure, is it going to be much better? The answer to my question is, let's see, it's getting closer to nighttime, so it's not very warm right now, but it's 26 degrees outside and 12 inside, so we definitely saved ourselves at least a little bit. Maybe not an outstanding amount, but it is something. I did replace the roof with some limestone shingles here as well, which, I don't know, I don't even like the look of it that much, but it's a material that I had on hand. We need a load of bricks if I'm going to be doing projects like this, because it turns out it takes a lot in order to build a very simple structure. Yeah, having something like this could end up being very advantageous for both the summers and the winters. Keep the food nice and preserved and a-okay. That said, if we're also prepping them all into packaged meals quickly enough, it's probably not going to matter, but it was a good test. I'm glad we did it. What else could we do for some research? We could try for fermenting, which is vinegar. Wine or beer turned sour, no need to waste it. We can use it for cooking and pickling. Sounds pretty good. My experience with these people, they drink a lot, so I don't think we've ever wasted any wine or beer up to this point. We'd have to have a full-time brewer just to have enough product for that to matter. I don't know about that. What about kind of furniture do we get? Quality tables. Exquisite, fine-grained wood. Probably makes people happier. Could be nice. We could also learn how to make some steel, or we could go for some upgrades to, let's say, some shields. Only one of our people would benefit from shields, so I'm not sure that's worth it. Better swords? Maybe. Okay. Well, I don't think I care about wooden weaponry. We could go for the defensive structures with some metal traps. Now, that's a thing we could do. Or we can move right on to research level 3. No, that seems a little bit overly aggressive. You know what? Oh my god, what are the deer doing? They just triggered all these traps. I'm going to go ahead and research the steel just so we have it on hand. What does it take to make steel in comparison? So let's see. 20 coal and 30 iron ingots produces 30 steel. as opposed to 30 iron nuggets. So you take the iron ingots, and then you have to fire them again in order to make some steel. That's not too surprising. That kind of makes sense. It also means that steel is going to be extremely expensive, which I don't much care for. Also, it turns out we're producing too many of these lavish meals because they're starting to decompose. We'll go ahead and reduce how many of these we are producing. We'll just go ahead and make a few extra of the packaged meals in the event we have an emergency. Right, very interesting. Okay, so steel's good. Just going to take a long time to get there, and we need to have basically a full-time smelter to make that worthwhile. And what on earth is this? Thor's hammer? Unexpected thunder roared, crashing through the bruised sky. That's actually some pretty good poetic imagery right there. I like it. A violent presence intruding like a bad omen held echoes of a heathen god. Fork lightning flickered and blazed toward the ground, splitting a mighty oak. Whoosh. All right, so we got our first ever thunderstorm. We've been out here for, over a year, and it is the first time we've ever seen a thunderstorm? Good Lord. I imagine it must feel like Noah's flood right about now. You know, the good news is only half of our population, oh God, is gonna care about that. You know, I was just saying, we're not gonna care. I cared a little bit about that. It freaking struck its own altar. Or something. No, I don't even know what it hit. Maybe it hit nothing at all. Okay, that got a little close for comfort. I admit it. I'm a little scared of Thor. Let's go ahead and research the metal traps. I might as well. What does it take in order to make a metal trap? Probably mechanical components. Yes. And remind me, each one of those costs 15 metal. So you're telling me it's going to cost me about 30 iron ingots every time we want to build a metal trap. I'm not gonna lie, that's really, really expensive. Metal, it turns out, takes a lot of effort between making the coal and then firing that stuff up, and God forbid I want to turn it into some steel traps instead. Yeah, metal is definitely tedious and hard to get. This is where I'm saying the game would really benefit from having some wandering traders, or from being able to send some of my own folks out here into some friendly settlements and see if we can buy things like metals. I would happily do that. Let's go ahead and get rid of loads and loads of red currant wine and come back with a cart full of iron. I'm going to go ahead and also learn how to make some better furniture. I don't know if this really makes a big difference in the game. I mean, the furniture I have now seems completely fine, but sure, we'll go ahead and dismantle this and convert them into slightly higher quality stuff. Maybe that increases the mood or something like that. We'll check in a second. Well, I built the table. Far as I can tell by people walking around, it doesn't give any sort of a mood improvement for being like a really impressive room or anything. It's attached to some chairs and has a value of 79. I don't know, maybe it's just more expensive stuff and it buys influence. I'm up to about 69% influence. I mean, that's pretty nice, right? So, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering what else really there is to do. First off, no raids in months is kind of bizarre. I'm building out a second warehouse because we are getting completely filled up in storage right now. The next thing to do is probably just go ahead and start tearing down buildings, making them more efficient, and also adding in a second structure. Or if you want to be really lofty, tear down like all this stuff and start turning it into one gigantic castle. But even for me, that might be a little bit too ambitious. I don't know. Still, we'll go on a little bit longer. I do feel like we're kind of running out of some content. I mean, just making better armor and shields and stuff isn't going to be all that exciting. What's this, distilling? Ooh, cool. We can go ahead and start making some various forms of alcohol. Yeah, it's just better versions of the same stuff that I'm already getting and not necessarily needing as long as we're not getting attacked. So, I don't know. We'll come back to this next time around. But so far, this was a pretty peaceful episode. Aside from Thor smiting my smeltery, not a whole lot going on. Well, either way, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, then of course I would ask you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time in Darby Hill, Monteshire.